Hey gamers, welcome to another episode of the PTGC podcast. My name is Gerard and joining me is my co-host, Gio. Say hi.
What up?
If you like our content, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more episodes. We release this podcast every week, and we'll be doing so every week as well, continuing forward. Our other co-host, Mike, is on vacation right now, so he won't be joining us on this week's episode. But on to our today's episode. We'll be continuing from one of our previous podcasts about the issues around Assassin's Creed Shadows. More importantly, Ubisoft's failure to maintain to their old creed. And what do we mean by that? So, in their recent apology to the communities, mostly of Japan, as well as the fans of Assassin's Creed, they have stated, and I will quote this straight up, we have received notice that two pieces of concept art previously released for Assassin's Creed Shadow uses the flag of the Sekigata Battlefield Hospitality Union, and they wanted to apologize that it was accepted, but they also would like to say, hey, we also are trying to release our game on creative freedoms, and we're going to stick by that rather than the historical accuracy. When long before Assassin's Creed was even a popular game, back in Assassin's Creed 1, they've removed crossbows from the game, even though it was in their concept art and their trailers, because it wasn't historically accurate. And the change from historical accuracy to creative freedoms for their games seems to be a recent development. Gio, I know you haven't played Assassin's Creed in a long time, but for a company to change, like, one of their main selling points for Assassin's Creed was their creed on historical accuracy. How do you feel about this change to their creative freedom being explored and doubling down on that for Assassin's Creed Shadows?
If I'm being completely honest, I just think they're saying that now because it fits their narrative. Because it's in favor of what they're doing right now. Before, they were focused on historical accuracy, and it's something that made them popular. It's something that, made them trustworthy as a company, in a sense, to the customer and to the players. But now, because they feel like certain things should be added into the game that necessarily don't really have to be, but they feel it has to be in there. They decided now it's creative freedom and liberty rather than focusing on the historical aspects.
Yeah. And another, the historical accuracy that they've prided the game of Assassin's Creed, I don't think is a limitation they put on themselves. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you would drop that limitation just so you can have creative freedom for a game, for a decision you actively made, like Ubisoft actively made to add Yasuke. They made a decision to choose the plot line of adding that character because they have another protagonist, Noe, as a ninja, and they didn't have to add Yasuke if they already had a projected main protagonist. They chose to add a second character. They also chose to add the Sekigata fireman unit. This is during the times where feudal Japan was becoming modernized and receiving firearms and rifles in their country. So when you choose to add a thing that is going to poke holes in your historical accuracy, you can't just go double down it's our creative freedom to do this. It's you chose to not be historical accurate. Why make and go back? It's our creative freedom to do so when Assassin's Creed is historically accurate and all you did was intentionally add something that wasn't. And it is funny to bring up Yasuke's because the entire time Ubisoft was working with a false sense of confidence in their truths. So recently, the Ubisoft has come out and said, hey, we've used this document, this book, and worked with this professor from this university to make sure that we were being historically accurate to feudal Japan. And on further investigation of that source of truth, they found out that the person that they were working with, not even Ubisoft, like I think the general community and the universities looked into this. They found out that he's been lying. He's actually gone and edited Yasuke's Wikipedia. He's made changes and falsified a lot of papers of his to just make his narrative and his books correct. This so-called professor, quote unquote, has been fired and is being investigated even further for all his works. Gio, do you have more to say on this? I know you want to talk about this liar.
I just think it's hilarious because, I mean, damn, man, people will go to some extent, won't they? Like, to think that this guy literally was editing the Wikipedia page to make his book seem actually true. Like, he wanted people to look at him in this certain light and act like he knew what he was talking about when it came to the person who is Yasuke. And he literally had everybody fooled. He literally had everybody fooled because literally he was changing the information on Wiki to use his book as the source. So who are you to question if the book is not actually factual, especially when he's working in a Japan university? He's working in a Japanese university. Nobody looked at this guy twice and said, well, where did he get all this information exactly from? And how did he come to this
conclusion?
Conclusion,
like,
yeah. And, you know, because there's very limited documentation on Yasuke, and there's nothing definitively saying he was a samurai at all. Most of it points to him being a retainer, not a samurai.
I mean, retainers are somewhat samurai, but not really.
Yeah, and they have similar duties, but that wasn't restricted to just samurais, those duties. That's why retainers did a lot of the things to samurai. And let's be honest, samurai was a social class that you had to be born into or buy into. How is a slave that got brought to Japan going to afford buying into it? Because we know he was damn sure he wasn't born into it.
That's true.
So how did he have the funds to buy into it? I think he was. A lot of people say, what I've gathered and what I've read is that he was more a jester, as seen as almost like a puppet to Nobunaga. Like, Nobunaga was just fascinated with this individual of black skin. Like, he tried to wash him off. He thought he was dirty at first. Like, and all of a sudden he turns him into a samurai? Really? Are we that gullible? Like, really?
Yeah. And I would also even go like as far to say is like Nobunaga was like taken by him just because of his skin color and that he was just a novelty. But he didn't even stay in Japan that long either. Like at most a year. And like it was just this novelty that was like, oh, he looks cool. Like that's basically what it was. And like the Eastern's never seen a person of that color and things like that. But like just because you see someone different doesn't give you like the want to just like, I'm going to make him one of the highest positions in my entire country. That's not how it works.
Well, I think the fascination of Yasuke is a Western thing, especially if you think of the animations, the Netflix show that they had on him. I think that's more of a Western thing, that they wanted to make this guy a samurai so bad. They wanted to believe he's a samurai because, I hate to say this, but as Western culture, we want to see ourselves in everybody's culture for whatever reason. We just can't accept that that's their culture. We got to somehow insert ourselves into their culture. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, Yasuke is very much a talking point about the game, but it is not the only thing Ubisoft has chosen to do with the game that is receiving criticism. Recently, Ubisoft has announced that you are allowed to romance with both Yasuke and Noe in game, and you can romance any romanceable partner. Um, the question I have, and I'm pretty sure the question majority of people have, whether or not, and I do not want to go like wokeism or anything like that, why add the option of romance into Assassin's Creed in the first place? So like the idea of having your main character being able to romance any one of the other characters in the game is not like a new idea. Like Mass Effect has done it to great success. Fable's another one. These games are very active into their like romancing options and things you can do. But here's the difference between those games and Assassin's Creed. And again, this is my kind of personal take. Take it with how you will, but Assassin's Creed is not a open world or create your own story narrative game. Like the RPG element is you get to play as an assassin, you get to kill people, and more importantly, you are living out a war, a battle between the Templar regime and the Assassins regime, which has been like the entire arc from the beginning of time that Assassin's Creed has existed. This romance option is honestly in conflict or just not a part of that narrative. So when you add something that is, I don't want to say foreign, but definitely not like the usual norm for that, in my mind, it was like, you gotta make it have sense. You gotta have it make sense. And it doesn't. At least to me right now, it does not make sense that they add this romance option into the game. Gio, what is your thoughts about the like a romance option being added to Assassin's Creed in general?
I'm with you on this. It just doesn't make sense to me because, like, I had to be reminded by you. I'm like, what game's really centered around a love story? And when it came to Assassin's Creed, like,
Mhm.
I don't care personally about romance in Assassin's Creed. I want to play an assassin. I want to stealth around. I want to kill people. I want to freaking do stuff that I wouldn't be able to do in real life and stuff like that. That's what I look for Assassin's Creed for. It's to like to scratch an itch. You know what I mean? Like to have that, kind of live that lifestyle, experience a world back then, that time period, kind of get a feel for it. Like I don't understand where that element came about. Um, and I feel for me, I know you said you don't want to get into that woke stuff, and I don't either. But a part of it's like, why does this have to be in everything now? Because that's what it feels like when you think about Yasuke as the selection of character of all the people they could have picked in feudal Japan to center the game around. Or even if they would have left the character Noe as the main protagonist, I don't even think Japan would have cared if it was a female protagonist, as long as she's Japanese. I don't think they would have cared. I don't even think they would have cared, her being female. So that's part of the woke or diversity inclusion. Why couldn't they just do that? Why did they have to include Yasuke? Make Yasuke like an NPC, like we said off screen. Like make him something in the game, but not where the game is centered around. Now, like you said, you add this romance element that allows this freedom and liberty. Now, there's not me saying that this didn't happen in those time periods, because we've heard about crazy stories and stuff like that, and the Greeks and the Romans and how they used to get down and stuff like that. We know this has always been a part of humanity, but why did we feel this needed to be in the game? You just said you're not trying to be historically accurate. So yeah, there's documentation and there's stories about this actually existing in feudal Japan, but why did it need to be a part of it?
Yeah. And I do agree. It was like it was a decision to add Yasuke, and I know we talked about it off camera. It was just like if Noe was the main protagonist, I'd still be fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a definitely a decision they made to add Yasuke and make him a playable character, and then it was another decision to make both protagonists able to be or to romance as well.
Mhm.
So like these are two decisions Ubisoft has made that are both controversial, and there was no need for them. There was no need for them. Like you're already, and I will say this, you already have the formula for this. Assassin's Creed with ninjas has been everything everybody has ever wanted. Okay,
Mhm.
you are in probably the best like setting for your narrative. Like your narrative is built for this setting. There's no need to go out of your way and throw foreign elements into it. Like even if Yasuke wasn't added as a playable character, if you had like added romance options, I still would have questioned it. Even if like we didn't have the Yasuko drama, I'd be like, there's no need for Noe to be like a romance option, all right? It doesn't matter to me at all. Like if you have it in the story that like, oh, you can choose like in a part of the main story you have two romanceable options, like okay, sure, but what does that add to the story? Does the story change based on who I romance? Do I get different things? Are they side quests for these romanceable options? If none of that is true, all you're doing is letting me romance someone, why add it? Why spend money, effort, and time into something that doesn't matter? And there, like, it in isolation does not make sense to me. As a whole, makes me upset.
I think it's like you said, like what does that do for the player experience? What does
Exactly.
it do really? In reality, how does it change my experience overall? It really has no impact. We even talked about this in the sexuality video games when I told you they had that one moment in the God of War game that I was like when
Yes,
he
Aphrodite
does
and yeah,
Aphrodite. I'm like I didn't need that. I'm like, and that's straight couple. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Heterosexual. It didn't it didn't do nothing for me that
yeah,
moment in that game.
yeah,
I was like, bro, that was the stupidest shit in my mind.
yeah.
That was me
And
personally.
it makes no sense. And like these creative decisions that I are like I in my opinion think are destructive is leading to other games as well. So
Mhm.
like it is a if in recent news, uh, in a recent trailer and article done by IGN, they've talked about another game Ubisoft is releasing. If you don't already know, Star Wars
No.
Outlaw is set to be released in August, and the first impressions of that game just as well are not positive. So in recent articles and reviews about the game, the graphical fidelity of the game is being questioned. They said like these graphics, these basically models, everything the way the game looks, it feels outdated. It feels old, especially for a game that's supposed to be in the frontier. Because Star Wars Outlaw is not it's not designed to be uh an old fashioned game. It was supposed it like it has modern taste to it and it still looks old. And people are like, why? Why is this the way it is? Why did you make it this way?
Mhm.
And like Ubisoft again, just like they did with Assassin's Creed Shadows, creative freedom. Creative freedom. We wanted to do it. We were not gonna make a change. This game is releasing as it is. And that's not a reason. That's not a reason
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
not listen to them. All right. And if you gave a real reason, like, oh, the engine we're using in order to be optimized has to stay this graphical, we're trying to aim for a specific FPS, or there are other things where like this is the art style that we were going for, and you can show the development process behind that. No, you just said deal with it, basically. Just deal with it, and that's not what you want to say to your community. That's not what you want to say to your community at all. What are your
Well,
thoughts about the Outlaws?
I, like I'm a fan of Star Wars. I've seen all the movies. I literally have my background on my computers is Star Wars stuff. I have a fondness of Star Wars. So, but I told you also, it's weird when it comes to the Star Wars video games. I don't really look at them like that. I for whatever reason, I kind of was, in the early era. I wasn't. big on them. They were kind of disappointing, except for the one that came out for 60 racing one. That was off of Phantom Menace. That was one of my favorite ones. So I didn't really know much about this game going in until I started hearing the feedback from the gameplay trailer that IGN had the exclusive of. That's when it really just broke out, because we actually got game footage of in-game play, and it's bad. I mean, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look like a next-gen game. It doesn't look like we're playing on PS5, Xbox Series X. It doesn't. It does look outdated, and it's funny because, like, at first I'm like, let me adjust, like, because sometimes on YouTube you gotta adjust it from 720 to 1080.
Yeah.
I was like, let me adjust it a bit. But even with making those adjustments, it still didn't save. Like, you could tell it looked like it didn't look modern by any means. And I'll just read you a few of the first few comments, and they're very short, but they're hilarious to me, because it's like that literally backfired hard, because literally the first couple comments, one guy goes, how to save 80 euros in 10 minutes. The power of one, the power of two, the power of don't pre-order.
Yeah.
So basically there's nothing going on in the desert, right? In incomplete boredom and silence.
Repeat that last one.
It says, so basically there's nothing going on in the desert. You just ride to destination in complete boredom and silence.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't even look fun. It doesn't. Like, I'm seeing the gameplay trailer, and I'm thinking they're going to show more, like, action sequence and stuff like that. And, I mean, they're trying to show the open world aspect of it. I get that. But it just doesn't seem entertaining. This other guy replies, this is the last one I'll read. He goes, calm down, guys. This is the footage from the Nintendo GameCube version. I'm like, that's the first few comments, and they all have, like, thousands of likes.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, Ubisoft, like, you just can't catch a break right now. But at the same time, you don't deserve a break, because, like you said, you're not listening to your player base. And then you're kind of just slapping them in the face and saying, well, this is what you're going to get. Deal with it. Either buy it or you don't.
Yeah. And it's upsetting, because, like if you were, like, saying, if you're marketing the game as, like, a low fidelity game, or, like, as an, like this is if I saw an indie company make it this way, I wouldn't have a complaint about the graphics, but I would still have a complaint about the gameplay. Like, the gameplay still doesn't look good. Like, the gameplay is lacking, the graphics aren't there, and, like, if you're going to present those kind of problems, you should listen to the players, because they're telling you they're not telling you, hey, I think you should make this change. They're telling you, I'm not going to buy it unless you make this change.
Dude, there's one scene that right you now. See they're, like, in space, and you fly, you're fighting the fighter jets and stuff. I apologize for it. But I can see this. This is a gameplay trailer. Bro, the ship even looks like, it looks terrible. It doesn't look modern, bro. It looks like you could still see, like, the polygons. Like, it's just like, it doesn't look smooth. It doesn't look clean. It's like, it's not what you would expect from next gen. And it's like, wow, this is what we doing now at Ubisoft. This is what we doing.
Yeah. And I said, I'm not, I'm like, if it's like the graphics are horrible, that's fine as long as the gameplay good. But if your gameplay sucks, your graphics better be good. And if it also sucks, that's a bad game. Straight up. Like, the story could be amazing, but if I can't sit through because the gameplay sucks, and I can't look at it because it's not pretty, I can't play it. I just can't play it.
I think you're right, though, too. Like, they waited so long to advertise this game or really show what the game really looks like. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, it's similar to, like, GTA. GTA's graphics aren't all that. Nobody cares about the freaking graphics of GTA. It's all about what you can do in the game. It's entertaining. It's fun. There has good gameplay for the style of game it is.
We're excluding GTA 6, right? Because that game looks amazing.
No. I'm talking about 5 or GTA 6. But you expect when you have those big open games like that and what they're trying to pack into it, something suffers a little bit. Yeah. GTA's graphics are still not going to be like Final Fantasy, 15 kind of graphics. They're not going to be that. Mm-hmm. So you take away from something. But I think, them just releasing this like a month before, I guess they were trying to build hype leading into next month's release, but they actually.
I don't think they knew. I think they actually knew their game was trash, and they just didn't want to. They just wanted to hype people and like, hey, we finally have to release something, otherwise, people are gonna not pre-order the game, and we're just hoping. We're hoping for the best right now.
So you don't think, because there was hype around this game, even initially before the gameplay.
They showed nothing. They've showed before they only showed
maybe just still shots and stuff,
concept arts and still shots. They've never showed actual in-game footage until now. So it would probably even do better if they released it earlier, saying it's still in progress, rather than now where they said it's gold. It's like we're releasing this game like this, and they're like, but it looks like trash. It looks like you're still working on it. So
and then they said we're not going to delay it for the graphics. They literally said that. They're like, we're not delaying it. This is what you're getting. Oh. And then I asked you too, and you said you can't delay it because it just takes too much.
No, I'm assuming it's an engine issue where you don't have to fix the engine or replace the engine in either scenario. That will delay the game at least a year. At least a year. So, I don't know. Anyway, do you have any final thoughts about what Ubisoft can do? I don't think they can. I just don't think.
I don't know what to say because, honestly, they don't listen to anybody anyway. They don't give a damn. Yeah. So, good luck. That's my
basically. Yeah. All right. Thank you, gamers, for watching this episode of the podcast. Make sure you leave a comment down below on your opinions on both Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaw. And tell us how much faith you have in Ubisoft and how low it is.
At this point.
Yes. Thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Later.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Part-Time Gamers podcast. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And follow us on our other social platforms on TikTok, Instagram, and Discord. Links for those will be provided in the description. Thank you again. We will see you on the next episode of the podcast. And make sure you make some time for video games. Peace.